Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Inside Pitch. I'm Zach, also known as the Show Noob. What we've been doing recently is just going over each division, comparing each team to their PECOTA standings projections as far as win totals, and going over their rosters, going over whether I think they're going to go above or below said win total. We've finished the AL. We're moving on to the NL. We're a couple days before opening day. I regret starting this podcast up again this close to opening day when I'm so busy. So I'm going to try to get all these out before opening day. It's not a promise. I will have them all out by the end of the week at the very least. But let's go over the NL East. Miami Marlins are the first team projected last, 60.1 wins, which would be 0.1 wins more than what they did last year. They won 62 games last year. Actually, wait, hold on. I'm stupid. I can't math. 60.1 wins. That would be 2 less than their win total last year. I can't math for whatever reason. And they sold off some of their players last year. So they think they're only going to be 2 games less. I already know what I think. They traded away Josh Bell. They traded away Jake Burr, who gave them 29 bombs. They traded away Jazz Chisholm Jr., which is one of the faces of the franchise. They also are missing Brian De La Cruz. They don't have Vidal Brujan anymore. They dealt Jesus Luzardo, which is crazy. And did they add anything? Not really. They did let Tim Anderson go, who was probably the worst player in baseball statistically last year and or the year before as well. They did bring in Matt Mervis with a trade with the Cubs. By a trade with the Cubs is how you say that in English. They brought in Liam Hicks as a Rule 5 draft, Eric Wagaman on the bench as a free agent. They brought in Cal Quantrill as a free agent a month ago. They claimed Connor Gillespie off of waivers in January. They also signed, or they claimed Seth Martinez and Ronnie Henriquez off of waivers for their bullpen. They also have several injuries right now, especially to their starting pitching. Ryan Weathers has a strained forearm as of a week ago. Yuri Perez had Tommy John surgery last April, so he still has to recover. Edward Cabrera has a blister on his middle finger as of a couple weeks ago, so that's unfortunate. He'll probably be able to bounce back from that a little bit quickly, hopefully. Braxton Garrett got the internal brace a couple months ago, so him as well as Braxton Garrett is probably going to be out or will be out the whole year. And Yuri Perez is still going to be recovering. There's not really any rush there. They also have Connor Norby, who is a strained oblique, as well as a strained oblique for Jesus Sanchez, who are probably their 2 best offensive players as of right now. And let's go ahead and look through the lineup. You got Xavier Edwards at shortstop, Derek Hill center field, Matt Mervis at first base, Jonah Bride at DH, Kyle Stowers playing right field, Otto Lopez at second, Griffin Conine left field, Nick Fortes at catcher, and Graham Pauley, someone I've never heard of, at third base. And on the bench, no one of note: Liam Hicks, Javier Sanoja, Eric Wagaman, and Dane Myers. I'm not sure I could pick any of these guys out of a police lineup. I'm dead serious. Maybe Otto Lopez and maybe Xavier Edwards, but there's really nothing here that you can get really excited for. I know Xavier Edwards and and Otto Lopez were kind of top tier prospects or higher up in the Marlins system. And I know Matt Mervis was a top end prospect in the Cubs system, but he's 27 years old or about to be 27 years old now. Xavier Edwards, he had a decent year last year in about half a season, 128 win WRC plus, 820 OPS. That's actually a very, very substantial year in half a season, 2.2 WAR. Otto Lopez as well, 434 plate appearances, 91 WRC plus, 690 OPS, which is nothing of note, but 2.5 WAR. None of the other guys in this lineup, in this projected lineup, had over a 1 WAR besides those 2 players. Jonah Bride had exactly a 1 WAR, and that is it. There's just nothing in this lineup. I know the Chicago White Sox exist, but I think there's a world where this team has the worst offense in baseball. Absolutely a world where this team is the worst offense in baseball. And not only that, I think they're the worst team in baseball, potentially. And I know the White Sox still exist. I know the White Sox didn't make any real moves, any big moves, but man, this team is bad. And I know you have Sandy Alcantara and Max Meyer at the top of this rotation, but you got Sandy coming back from Tommy John surgery. If he has a good month of April or a good couple weeks, you got to trade him. Excuse me. Sorry about that. You got to trade Sandy. And I think the Marlins will. And Max Meyer, he's their number 2 starter. He made 11 starts last year, a negative WAR, 5.68 ERA. I know he's highly touted. He's been a big prospect for them for a while. And you got Cal Quantrill and Connor Gillespie as your 3 and 4. Valente Belozo as the number 5 starter. There's just nothing here. There's not much here at all. And that's the bad thing about Sandy doing well, is that if he does well, they're going to trade him away. And that came out wrong. There's nothing wrong with Sandy doing well. I really think he's going to do well. I hope he does. And Max Meyer, I hope he does well also. But I think these two are going to be traded at the end of the year. And this is going to be quick. This is going to be really, really quick. I'm slamming the under. There's no way I think they only got 2 games worse this year. There's just no potential. There's no way. Maybe Connor Norby and Jesus Sanchez come back from injury and start to mash. But if they don't, and even if they do, it's still really bad. There's only one player in this lineup who got over 400 plate appearances last year. It was Otto Lopez, and he had less than 100 WRC plus, less than a 700 OPS. This is just a really, really poor team. It's not good whatsoever. And I would not be surprised if they won 50 games. And that's really, really bad. What did the White Sox win last year? 41. I don't think anyone can top that. And how crazy would it be if the very next year the Marlins beat that record and win 40 games or less? That would be nuts. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm definitely hammering the under. And this next one surprised me a little bit. Washington Nationals projected 68.8 wins. That seems really, really low to me because I know they won 71 games last year. And they made some moves this offseason, and they didn't really lose a whole lot. They lost Joey Gallo. They traded away Lane Thomas and Jesse Winker, Joey Meneses. But those were not major contributors to that team last year. They re-signed Trevor Williams, who was a very, very underrated pitcher last year. I know he didn't throw a whole lot, just over 100 innings, I think, or maybe even less than that. Patrick Corbin, you lost him, but that could be addition by subtraction because he was really awful for the last 4 years or so. Lost some bullpen arms in Matt Barnes, Jacob Barnes, Kyle Finnegan. You lost Joey Gallo, who is no longer going to be at the plate striking out, but trying to strike people out himself. You lost Ediarmo Vargas and Tanner Rainey. But you bring in Josh Bell, Nathaniel Lowe, Paul DeYoung, Ahmed Rosario for the bench, Michael Soroka in the rotation and or bullpen, Jorge Lopez, Lucas Sims, Colin Poche all in the bullpen as well. Notable injuries right now is Cade Cavalli, Josiah Gray, both had Tommy John. Cade Cavalli should be back soon. He had his Tommy John surgery in March of 23. Josiah Gray had his in July, so he's likely out for the whole year unless they do something crazy and make the playoffs, which I don't know if that's going to happen yet. Also have DJ Herz on the potentially on the IL. He has a sprained elbow. Let's hope that's all that is. But there is a very, very good young core with this team that is emerging, all below 25 years old. You got CJ Abrams, who went 20-30 last year, had 1.9 B WAR, WRC plus 107, OPS of 747. No, there's some sketchy things defensively at shortstop with him, but he's still young. He's going to be 25 at the end of the year. So I would love to see him pop off a little bit more. It seems like he's improving a little bit year to year. You got Dylan Cruz. also playing right field. He's going to be up the whole year. That's exciting. He was a first-round draft pick right before Paul Skeens in 2023. Gave you a little bit of time last year, just over 100 plate appearances. WRC plus just 80, 641 OPS. Not great, but very limited sample size. He's still 23 years old. He's going to get more time, and he's going to absolutely improve from there. You got James Wood in left field, who is 22 and a half years old. He put up a 1.2 WAR in half a season last year, a WRC plus of 120, and an OPS approaching 800. And I don't know if there's too many more exciting young players in baseball around his age than his own teammate like Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeens, Roki Sasaki. This dude is exciting, and he hits the ball a ton. And I wouldn't be surprised in a couple years if he's like a top 10 player in baseball. He's just that good. And I know he's highly touted for a while. He came over in the Juan Soto trade, I believe. I think it was a Juan Soto trade. It was either that trade or the Scherzer Trey Turner trade. I'm not 100% sure which one it was. But you also have Josh Bell, who's a decent player. He's just kind of steady at this point in his career. He's starting to get a little bit older, but he's a switch hitter, breaks up some of those lefty bats in the lineup because there's a lot of lefty bats. WRC plus of 101 last year, OPS right around 725. He's going to be their DH, and I think that's a good signing. Absolutely good signing right there. Luis Garcia, he's almost 25 years old. He had a really good year last year. I don't know if people are really talking about him that much, but 3.1 WAR. He had hit 18 homers, stole 22 bags, 762 OPS. Just like, he's been in the league for a while. He is over 3 years of service time, and that's just kind of crazy because he's still so young. And let's see if he takes a step forward. Nathaniel Lowe, you know what you're going to get with Nathaniel Lowe. He gets on base. He's a decent fielder. He's going to hit you 20, 25 home runs maybe. And he's just steady. Like, that's a good trade. You trade a reliever in Robert Garcia, who is very valuable, could be very, very good. That's something that the Rangers needed. And this is a good get for the Nationals. He's got 2 years of service time left, and that's a good 1 through 6. A really solid 1 through 6 at the top of that lineup. Paul DeJong, what more does he have left in the tank? He's probably going to hit you some home runs. He's not going to hit for average, but he could drive in a couple runs here and there. Keibert Ruiz, is he going to put something together? I know catchers take a little bit longer to develop, but he looked promising in 23 or 22, I think. And then he's just kind of taken steps back, at least one of them last year, negative WAR, not great behind the plate, not great at the plate. And Jacob Young, decent fielder, not too much with the bat. He's going to hit ninth. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I like this lineup. I really do. And maybe Keibert takes a step forward. Same thing with Luis Garcia. Even if he stays the same, even if Lowe and Josh Bell stay the same, you get improvements from the top three in CJ Abrams, Dylan Cruz, James Wood, their young core, which is expected to take a step forward. That's really big. That could be really big and really exciting. And the rotation is a little bit top heavy. It's really top heavy, actually. Mackenzie Gore, number one, he had a pretty solid year last year. A 3.9 ERA, 32 starts, 166 innings pitched. If you have that many starts, you'd like to see the innings pitched a little higher. But he's 26 years old. He's a lefty. He could take another step forward. He's very, very good. He's very capable. And hopefully he takes another step forward. Trevor Williams, yeah, I was wrong. Less than 100 innings pitched. But in those 100 innings, he put up an ERA of 2.03. Pretty solid. And then your next couple guys, and Jake Irvin and Mitchell Parker, are just pretty much innings eaters right now, which is kind of what they need. they have those guys on the IL, Josiah Gray, Cade Cavalli, who were pretty highly touted prospects. Well, I don't think you can call Josiah Gray really a prospect anymore. He's not going to be back until he's 28. And DJ Hurst put up a pretty solid season last year. So until those guys come back or they figure it out, those two being innings eaters are just fine right now. You got Michael Soroka at the back end of the rotation, which is not ideal. I don't think that would be the case if those two didn't have Tommy John surgery. Like we said, he did much better out of the pen last year. And I don't think the pen's really much to write home about. I know Kyle Finnegan had a pretty decent year, 38 saves, but his ERA is a bit high as a reliever for that amount of saves. He had 38 saves and 0 F4, which is kind of nuts. He doesn't really strike anyone out. Jorge Lopez has had his ups and downs. Had a pretty decent year last year. Same thing with Lucas Sims. He's had his up and downs. Colin Poche, who they brought in, had a pretty decent year, 3.86 ERA. Negative F4, though. So I don't know. F4 versus B-WAR for pitchers is a very, very interesting thing. It's just go look at Robert Garcia's Fangraphs profile, look at his WAR there, and then look at his B-WAR. It is actually wild. And then go look at his Baseball Savant. That's even more wild. So I think this bullpen is very meh at best. It's not a top tier bullpen. I don't think it's a middle of the pack bullpen, but I think it's just okay. And same thing with the rotation. It is okay and borderline less okay. I like Mackenzie Gore. I don't know if Trevor Williams gives you that type of performance if he pitches the whole year. And I don't know what Michael Soroka is going to get you out of the rotation. I think he's more suited toward the bullpen. And if he was in the bullpen after what he did in Chicago when he was in the bullpen there, I would have a different opinion about this bullpen. But the moment you've been waiting for, over or under 68.8 wins, I'm absolutely choosing the over. I think they took a massive, maybe not massive step forward, but they took steps forward. They signed some people, and their young guys are coming up. They're going to hopefully improve and keep getting better. And I'm kind of excited to watch the Washington Nationals. I wouldn't be surprised if they won 75, 77, maybe even 80 games if stuff goes really well. I would count more towards the 75 to 77 win range, but I really like this Washington Nationals team. Watching CJ Abrams, Dylan Cruz, and James Wood is going to be fun for years, especially James Wood and hopefully Dylan Cruz. But next on the PECOTA projections is a little bit surprising to me. They have the Phillies at 85.6 wins, who won 95 games last year. And they really didn't do that much this offseason. They didn't really lose too many people. They lost some bullpen arms. They lost Jeff Hoffman and Carlos Estevez, who they traded for last year. They also lost Spencer Turnbull, who was kind of nuts for them for a little bit last year. Lost Austin Hayes, former All-Star, but hasn't really done it for a while. And Dylan Covey to the Braves in a minor league deal. They did bring in Max Kepler, free agent, played for the Twins, the lefty bat, lefty outfielder. They brought in Jesus Luzardo via trade, which is a big one. He has some big potential. He's now going to a contender. Can he figure it out? He's had flashes of brilliance. And if he does figure it out in Phillies rotation, where they got Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, Taijuan Walker, I know Ranger Suarez is on the IL or potential IL with some back tightness. He's not going to be ready for opening day. That's a big signing. And then you look at this lineup. Yes, they're getting older. You got Kyle Schwarber at the top, 120, or they keep auto flipping to the projections instead of what they did last year. 3.4 WAR last year, 135 WRC plus, 851 OPS. Trey Turner had a better year last year than his first year, 3.9 WAR, 124 WRC plus, 807 OPS. He's going to be 32 years old. You got Bryce Harper, who does it year in and year out, future Hall of Famer. Alec Boehm, who was an all-star last year, although he cooled down halfway through the year. He still had a very solid year, almost an 800 OPS. Max Kepler, he's been kind of up and down. I didn't realize he was 32 years old. He didn't have a great season last year, but he has 30 homer potential, or at least 20 homer potential. JT Realmuto, He's declining a little bit, but he's still one of the most athletic catchers in the game. He's still very, very reliable. You got Nick Castellanos, who loves to take advantage of people having bad days in life in general. What does he bring to the table this year? He's been kind of, do I say a disappointment signing? Or he's had disappointing years. Maybe last year was a disappointing year potentially, but he did well in the playoffs. I know he's streaky. Bryson Stott hitting 8th and Brandon Marsh hitting 9th. If those two are your 8th and 9th hitters, you have it really, really good. As Bryson Stott could take another step forward. He had a down season last year. If he can get back to his 2023 form where he went 15-30, I think, 15 homers, 30 steals, would be very valuable. I think Brandon Marsh is one of the more underrated players in baseball, 747 OPS. Like, this lineup is still mashes. It still absolutely mashes. And yes, I know they're getting older. And same thing with their rotation. They're getting a little bit older. Zach Wheeler's almost 35. Aaron Nola's 32. You got Taijuan Walker in there, who is just a body, really. That's a horrible, horrible deal right now. He put up a 7 ERA with 83 innings pitched. He's making, I think, $16 million a year. That's a rough contract. But with Wheeler, Luzardo, Aaron Nola, who, even though he doesn't throw hard, he still gives you like 200 innings, K per 9, almost at 9. He's going to give you a mid-3 ERA. Christopher Sanchez really popped off last year of 3.32 ERA and 181 innings pitched. Where the hell did that come from? Ranger Suarez had a great year. He's probably not going to be on the IL for long if it's just back tightness. Like, that's a strong rotation. Jesus Luzardo, if he figures it out, I know he had a kind of a weird year last year, but man, Zach Wheeler is going to be up there, top 3 Cy Young voting. I mean, I think full discretion, Paul Skeens is my Cy Young pick for the NL. If Paul Skeens didn't exist, I would say Zach Wheeler's my number 1 pick. Probably. It's kind of crazy how he hasn't won a Cy Young. He's been so good for like the last 5 years. I also kind of like this bullpen. Maybe not even kind of like this. I like this bullpen, even though they lost Jeff Hoffman. They brought in Jordan Romano. I know he looks really, really good in spring. He's had flashes of really, really good pitching. Ryan Kerkering, he's very good. He's very young. He's going to be good for a while. Jose Alvarado has some nasty stuff. He always has the potential to have a fantastic year. Matt Strahm had a fantastic year last year. Jose Ruiz, Tanner Banks, and Joe Ross all contributed decently last year. ERAs under 4. This is a pretty solid bullpen, and it's something that a couple years ago was considered a weakness for him. And Carlos Hernandez, who they just claimed off of waivers, throws about 100 miles an hour. He has the potential to be decent. I watched him pitch in Kansas City a couple times, and he looks nasty. So I don't know why they let him go on waivers. So if a team like Pitts or Philly picks him up, there's got to be something there, something they see that they like. But overall, bullpens are just so volatile. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows what he does? Who knows what's going on there? But I really like this bullpen and team in general. And I think this is an easy over for me. 85.6 wins. They didn't really lose anyone of note. I know they're all getting a little bit older, but they're not to the point where it's like, man, these guys are super old. It's like their early 30s for a lot of them. If they can stay healthy, if Jesus Luzardo pops off, if Jordan Romano kind of figures it out again and gets back to his form that he's wanted to be, I think this is an over for sure. They won 95 games. It wouldn't be out of the realm for them to do that again. At least 90. I'm absolutely going the over. Next one, New York Mets, and I think this is a really fair line for them, and it's going to be difficult to go either way. 91.3 wins for the Mets is what they're projecting, and I think they won exactly 91 last year. And it's obvious to me where the strength lies in this team. They won 89 games last year. My fault. It is so easy for me to see where the strength lies in this team. It is. Sorry about that. I keep clicking on ads trying to get them to go away. Sorry about that. If anyone knows a good ad blocker, if you're watching on YouTube, If you're not watching on YouTube and listening, don't even have to worry about it. But let me know a good ad blocker because we're looking at Fangraphs, Baseball Reference, and Pagoda Standings right now. Anyway, if you're watching or listening on YouTube and you like to listen on Spotify, we're also on Spotify. That link will be in the description. So just click that link, follow us over there. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much for listening. But anyway, who did the Mets lose last year? They lost some big names. Jose Iglesias, Latin pop star. Luis Severino had a fantastic year with them, fantastic bounce back year with them. They lost Harrison Bader, Jose Quintana, JD Martinez, Adam Ottavino, who was just cut by a team, if I'm not mistaken. Brooks Raley, Drew Smith, Phil Maton, Ryan Stanek. Or actually, Drew Smith and Ryan Stanek re-signed. That's my fault. Joey Lucchesi, Adrian Hauser did not. They lost DJ Stewart, Jake Diekman, Omar Narvaez, and Shintaro Fujinami. There's a lot of guys they lost, but nothing really crazy except for maybe Luis Severino, who's the biggest name on that list. They re-signed Jesse Winker. They re-signed Pete Alonso to a 2-year deal. They re-signed Sean Manaea to a 3-year deal. It is just a shame that Sean Manaea is going to miss some time because he really figured it out last year. He really changed his arm angle, his release point. And it's a funny story because I'm a big podcast listener as well as doing this podcast. But he basically, when they played the Braves and Chris Sale went up against the Mets, he was watching Chris Sale and he decided to take what he was doing and implement it into his own form, which worked out for him. I mean, we saw how good he was. This is probably the best year of his career at 32 or whatever. So good for him. If he can come back, he's going to be the ace of that team. Who did they bring in? I think y'all know who they brought in. Maybe the biggest name, the most expensive contract in baseball, Juan Soto. For, I don't even remember the deal. I think it was 15 years, potential to be over 800 mil, at least 750 mil. Don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's going to be so fun to watch him go up against the Yankees this year when he just brought them to the World Series not more than a couple months ago. That's crazy. I mean, this top three is to die for right here. Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso. You know, Pete Alonso is going to drive in about 100 million runs with Lindor getting on base all the time, with Soto getting on base all the time. Brandon Nimmo also had like kind of a sneaky okay year. I think that's a down year for sure for him, but 727 OPS on a down year. WRC plus at 109, 2.7 WAR. That he's still a really good ball player. Mark Vientos just popped off. He had an amazing postseason run last year. 837 OPS as a whole, 133 WRC plus. I know we all thought it was going to be Brett Beatty being the third baseman, but look at Mark Vientos taking a step forward. Speaking of Brett Beatty, he's listed as their second baseman right now in their depth chart because Jeff McNeil is going to be on the IL. They re-signed Jesse Winker, who I think he's a fan favorite for the Mets right now. Jose Siri, who's had a really, really decent spring. A lot of speed, a lot of power potential there. Let's see if he's able to tap into it. He's not a consistent guy. He's more of like a flashes of brilliance. I know Francisco Alvarez is on the IL, which hurts a lot because the Mets as a whole were amazing with Alvarez behind the plate. I think they had just like one of the best records in baseball with him behind the plate, but then like a 500 record when he was out of the lineup. So that really, really hurts. You have Luis Angel Acuna, Ronnie's brother, on the bench. Same with Starling Marte, Tyrone Taylor. It's kind of a deep bench. And Hayden Sanger. I hope that's how you pronounce his name correctly. Clay Holmes at the top of the rotation, which is crazy because he was a reliever for the Yankees last year. Griffin Canning is their number 3, who is a free agent because the Braves cut him. You got Tyler McGill as their number 2 right now. David Peterson and Kodai Senga to round out the bottom of that rotation. Now, I know that there's a lot of talk, not a lot of negative talk about this rotation, but Clay Holmes has had a really, really good spring, and he's a ground ball guy. I think this infield is going to be better suited for him especially with Francisco Lindor at shortstop. I know the Yankees did not really play fundamental baseball that well last year, so I think he's going to thrive a little bit more. But to have him at number one is certainly telling about what this rotation has gone through the past couple of years. I really want to see what they can get out of Kodai Senga after he missed almost all of last year. The talent is there, the stuff is there, or it was there. Let's see what kind of stuff we can get from him. David Peterson, he kind of broke out last year, 2.9 ERA with 21 games started. That's a pretty good year if he can get you 160 innings and he's your 4 guy. That's really good. I know Griffin Canning has just been with the Angels. I know he didn't make it with the Braves, but now he found himself on the Mets. Let's see what he can kind of give you. If he can just eat some innings, he's going to be their number 5 guy pretty much. Tyler McGill, he's been decent. He strikes a lot of guys out, but the problem is he only gave you 78 innings pitched last year. You're still missing. You're missing Sean Manaea. They got Frankie Montas. They signed him, but he has a strained lat. So those are 2 starters that you're missing right now. If they can come back healthy at some point in the mid to early year, that brings a lot more depth to this bullpen or this rotation, I mean, which I kind of like the upside here, but they're question marks, that I'm kind of excited about, if that makes sense. Like, I'm excited to see what Clay Holmes can do on a different team in a different role. I think he can be very good because he's been very good as a reliever. And I know spring training is spring training, but he's looked pretty decent this spring from what I've seen. And Kodai Senga, David Peterson, I like Kodai Senga's stuff. I like what he did, I think, in 2023? It was 2023. I like David Peterson's stuff. He's given us flashes of brilliance. I think maybe that's a saying that I'm going to patent, flashes of brilliance. I kind of like it. I do kind of like it. This bullpen, though, is interesting. I know Edwin Diaz has been amazing in several years, but I know I just saw his velos down to like 93, 95, and he's kind of expected to lose that closer role. Maybe it's nothing. We'll see, though. He's 31 years old. When he's going. He strikes out the world. 14 Ks per 9. Doesn't walk that many people, surprisingly. 3.35 walks per 9. Brought in AJ Minter. You poached him from the Braves, a division rival. He's been one of the most underrated lefties in baseball, I feel like. Reed Garrett had a fantastic start to last year. Ryan Stanek always seems like he's going to be great, but ends up with poor numbers at the end of the year somehow. Does that happen every year? It feels like it does. You have Paul Blackburn for depth. I'm surprised to not see him in this starting rotation, to be honest. He's a guy you can start if you really need to. And you got Jose Butto, Danny Young, Max Kranick. I think the top end of this bullpen is pretty decent with Edwin Diaz and AJ Minter, assuming Edwin Diaz hasn't lost that much velo. If he has lost that much velo, that's a big question mark, a huge question mark even. But if he's going, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, one of the best closers in baseball. AJ Minter's a great lefty. Reed Garrett, if he can do what he did at the beginning of last year, amazing. The rest of this bullpen, I'm not extremely high on. I do like Ryan Stanek, but like I said before, his numbers always seem to end up in a weird spot. But what do I think? The 91.3 wins for the Mets. Do I think they win 91 games? I do. I think I'm going to hit the over on this. I really think I'm going to hit the over on this because, I mean, even though you're missing Sean Manaea right now, you're missing some starting pitching that could be valuable. I just really like this lineup. I mean, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, they do it every year. Pete Alonso, like, it seems like he's had down years the last 2 years, but with Soto in that lineup, he's going to get so many more RBI opportunities. I think he's going to bounce back a little bit. I know he's going to be hungry because he wants another contract because it was kind of a weird offseason for him. Brandon Nimmo, I think he has a better year. I don't know if Mark Vientos has the type of year he had last year, but he's young. I hope he does. Jesse Winker, pretty solid bat for them. And the bottom of the lineup is meh right now. Maybe Brett Beatty finds what he had when he was a top prospect. And you got guys who can come back. Like Jeff McNeil can come back. Francisco Alvarez, whenever he gets healthy. I know he had hand surgery, but maybe he comes back in July, beginning of July, maybe. I don't know what the timetable on that is. Maybe he pops off a little bit. I would love to see that. And I say that as a Braves fan. And New York, I think they're a really, really good team. They're top tier for sure. This NL East is just it might be the best division in baseball. It's not the toughest division in baseball. I think that's the AL East, but I think the NL East is the best division in baseball with more top end teams, if that makes sense. Because next up is Atlanta, and they're projected at 93.8 wins, which is kind of nuts because they won 89 games last year. And, they lost a lot of guys, but they had everyone on that team seemed to have down years last year. Who did they lose? They lost some important pieces. They lost Max Fried and Charlie Morton out of their starting rotation. They lost maybe one of the best backup catchers in baseball, Travis d'Arnaud, to the Angels. Aaron Bummer was re-signed by them, which is great. They lost Ramon Laureano and Gio Urshela, who provided very, very valuable performances when they needed them. They lost Whit Merrifield, Kevin Biggio, John Brebbia, AJ Minter, Luke Jackson, Tyler Masick. But they re-signed the immortal Jesse Chavez for like the 6th time, I think. So because of that, I'm going to hit the over. Just kidding. Let's continue. They lost Joey Wendell, Adam Duvall, Eddie Rosario, and Husker Ynoa. I mean, there's some big pieces and a lot of pieces. So what do? They did sign Jurickson Profar to a 3-year deal, which is a great signing. They brought over Nick Allen with a trade. They signed Brian De La Cruz. Both those two are on the bench. And they also brought in Hector Neris, Años de los Santos, and they just traded Ian Anderson to the Angels for Jose Suarez for the pen. They do have some significant injuries right now, but 2 of them will be coming back from injury. Sean Murphy has a cracked rib. He's probably going to be out until July, which is unfortunate because he missed almost all of last year. And when he did play, he was pretty bad. He just never got healthy. He was hurt opening day last year, which is unfortunate. But you got Ronald Acuna Jr. coming back from injury. You got Spencer Strider coming back from injury, who a lot of people picked for the 2024 MVP and Cy Young. So you're basically getting an MVP back and you're getting a Cy Young or all-star pitcher back. Now, they're probably not going to be playing up to that level at any time this year, but those are 2 big pieces to get back. Let's look at this lineup, though. You added Jurickson Profar to a lineup that has Austin Riley, who's been one of the best third basemen in baseball the past 3 years. He had a down year last year. Matt Olson, who had a down year last year, hit 54 homers the year before. Marcell Ozuna did not have a down year last year. The Braves would not have made the playoffs if it wasn't for Marcell Ozuna carrying this team basically on his back. Had 925 OPS last year, which is crazy. Michael Harris kind of had a down year last year, but he's a very, very capable center fielder. 24 years old, rookie of the year in 2022, I think, over Spencer Strider, which is crazy to me. Ozzie Albies, who was banged up for most of the year, missed a lot of the year, came back early and only hit right-handed because he needed to be back. So he was not healthy for most of last year, had a down year. Drake Baldwin will be starting catcher opening day. One of their top prospects. There is their top prospect going into 2025. So that's going to be interesting to see. Jared Kelenic, who has been a top prospect in the past, slated as their starting right fielder as of right now. Does he actually take a step forward? I think he was dealing with some injuries in the second part of last year, so I didn't play so much. And Orlando Arcia as their shortstop, who's definitely the weakest part of this lineup, in my opinion. On the bench, you have Chadwick Trump, Nick Allen, Brian De La Cruz, and Eli White. This lineup, if healthy, is going to mash. If they don't have down years, if Austin Riley bounces back, Matt Olson bounces back, Jurickson Profar has a year like he had last year, Michael Harris bounces back, Ozzie Albies bounces back, then this team is incredible. It's an incredible lineup. It really is. And you throw in Ronald Acuna Jr. to that lineup, it's a fantastic lineup, one of the best lineups in baseball. And I'm not surprised, but I am surprised at the same time that they've kind of been written off, or they don't get really talked about that much, just because, they struggled so hard last year. They struggled on offense so hard last year. What carried them was their pitching, which was Chris Sale, who won the Triple Crown. They traded Vaughn Grissom for Chris Sale, extended him for a year before he even threw a pitch. He ends up winning the Triple Crown as a pitcher, which is nuts. Reynaldo Lopez as the number 2, who had a ridiculous year last year, was a bullpen guy prior to this for years. Through a 1.99 ERA over 135 innings pitched. You have Spencer Schwellenbach, who is extremely underrated. People need to look out for him. He had a great year, great rookie campaign, 3.35 ERA, 123 innings pitched. Right now in the back end of the bullpen was Grant Holmes, 3.56 ERA over 68 innings pitched, and AJ Smith-Shawver, who did not pitch that much last year. I don't know if he still has rookie status or not, but he's 22 years old. You're going to have Spencer Strider back at some point, and Grant Holmes has some upside. Don't really know if those two are not very reliable right now. You don't really know what you're going to get, especially out of Grant Holmes and AJ Smith-Shawver. But top 3, Chris Sale, Reynaldo Lopez, and Schwellenbach are really, really good. I do expect a little bit of regression from Reynaldo Lopez. His FIP was kind of like near 3.5 last year. And Chris Sale, I mean, you can't ask him to go out there and win another Cy Young and Triple Crown. He's 36 years old. It might catch up with him, what he did last year. It might catch up with him this year as far as fatigue, potentially. I'm not sure. In the bullpen, you have Raisel Iglesias, who was ridiculous last year. Incredible. But it kind of falls off a little bit quicker than it has in years past. You have Pierce Johnson, Aaron Bummer, who were very decent last year. Dylan Lee was very good last year. Hector Neris, or Neris, however you pronounce it. It brought in non-roster invitee. He's a little bit older. He's decent, has been decent at time. Daysbel Hernandez and Daniel De Los Santos are kind of meh, not amazing. And Jose Suarez is kind of a question mark. This is one of the weaker bullpens that the Braves have had in quite some time, in my opinion. And the back end of that bullpen, Grant Holmes and AJ Smith-Shawver is a little bit questionable. Now, I know you have Spencer Strider coming back, and I do have high hopes for him performing extremely well when he, at some point, maybe not this year. I don't know if he's going to be at his Cy Young potential self this year, but I think he will still be very, very good. Same thing with Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, we saw him tore his ACL once. The next year he came back, he wasn't incredible. It took him about a full year of play to get back to his MVP type form. We all saw him go on to hit 40-70 in 2 years after he tore his ACL. So I'm kind of expecting that same type of path. And so overall, 93.8 wins. That's a lot of wins. I think it's safe to say that the bullpen is maybe not as good. You lost guys like, you lost AJ Minter. I know Luke Jackson, Tyler Matzik weren't great, but I know Jesse Chavez is coming back. I know that. Don't tell me. I know that. And I'm psyched about it. I really am. He's immortal. It's hilarious every single year, but 93.8 wins is so much. And it's like, it's so hard this is such a hard sport. Are all those guys in the lineup going to take steps up from their down years last year? Is Jurickson Profar the player he was last year? Are Chris Sale and Reynaldo Lopez going to regress a little bit to the mean? I hate that word too, regress. Are they going to do as well as they did last year? It's almost impossible. And I don't think the bullpens is great. Rysell is great, but he's getting a little bit older. He's going to be 36, 37. I'm a Braves fan. I think I have to hit the under. I think 93.8 wins is a lot of wins. And I think they're absolutely capable. I think they're capable of being one of the best teams in baseball. They're definitely capable of winning the division. But 90, almost 94 wins, it's so tough right now. And I don't know what to expect with Ronald coming back. I hope he does well. Even if he does as well as he did when he came back from his first ACL tear, that's still like, it's still really, really good. And you want to have him, but it's like, oh man, you're missing that MVP type Ronald. Same thing with Spencer Strider. I think I have less questions about Spencer Strider coming back than I do about Ronald coming back. I really do. In a perfect world, they both come back and they're immediately back to their old selves, which would be amazing. If that happens, I think it's the over, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And I don't know about everyone bouncing back on this team. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to hit the under. I think it's going to be right around there though, like 92, 93 wins, making the playoffs. I think this is the best division in baseball. Plus like the Braves, Mets, Phillies, they're all going to be beating up on each other a little bit. Washington took a step forward, but then again, Miami's horrible. So maybe they all just beat up on Miami. They all win 100 games, which is not going to happen. I'm not being serious. But anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments about any of these teams. Make sure to hit that like button if you like the video, if you like the podcast. Subscribe if you want to see future episodes. Let me know what I can do to make this a better listening, viewing experience for you all. And thank you all for rocking with me. The love you showed me on the first one, the AL Central, was incredible. I never would have expected it. I can't believe you all listened to me this long. You listen to me rant about nothing this long. I'm a rookie podcaster. This is 5 episodes in by myself as a solo project. So bear with me while I stumble upon words sometimes. I'm not going to highly edit these just because I don't have time. So appreciate you all listening. And I will see you in the next episode, which will be the NL Central. I'm excited. I will see you all later. Happy opening day in a couple days.